It is a hot Monday afternoon in Jasperstown, Rhode Island. The weather is 82 degrees. Wanda is out in the backyard with her two sons, Morris and Dell, having a water balloon fight. Morris is 13 years old and Dell is 10. No one wins the water balloon fight, as it was just for fun. When the water balloon fight ended, Dell came up with the idea to play water balloon baseball. Wanda and Morris liked the idea and wanted to play. Dell runs to get a wiffle bat while Morris sets up the pitcher mound for Wanda. They already have a good amount of water balloons left in the bucket from the fight. Dell went first and hit it on his third try. Morris hits it his first try 5 times straight and starts showboating, but he ends up losing his game. Dell ended up winning with 2 hits more than Morris. "Mommy, it's your turn, there's only 4 balloons left. Me and Morris can each get a turn pitching to you," Dell said. Wanda is smiling. "Okay, you boys don't laugh at me, I don't know what I'm doing." "We won't, Ma," Morris said. Dell throws the first 2 pitches, Wanda hits it both times. Morris throws the last 2, she hits it both times again. The boys were surprised and laughed. "I thought you said you didn't know how to play, Mommy," said Dell. Wanda laughed. "Beginner's luck, I guess." They all start laughing. All 3 of them dry off, then head inside the house to wash up before dinner. After washing up, Wanda began to cook dinner while the kids played the latest football video game. Edward, Morris and Dell's father, called the house and picked an argument with Wanda about child support. Morris realized his mom was on the phone with his dad. He tensed, pausing the video game to listen. Dell got a little frustrated when he paused the game because he was finally beating Morris. Dell was up by a touchdown. But he started listening as well. Morris knows his dad has a lot of problems. His mom has confided in him a few times. He also knows his mom and dad don't get along so well. Edward has an alcohol problem. He used to be in the army, and ever since he got back from his last tour, his addiction has been worse. Wanda told Morris that Edward has been diagnosed with a condition called PTSD. Morris isn't exactly sure what that is, but he knows it's nothing good because it makes his dad angry and depressed all the time. "I'm really tired of you doing this stuff, Edward. You know how much it hurts me to see you like this. But I've stopped supporting your habit with drinking, and I'm not going to start again now. I'm sorry, you know I love you, but you don't understand, you're hurting our boys." Morris is old enough to understand and Dell's starting to ask questions. "I never needed your money, and that's why you weren't on child support right away, because you were a great father to Morris for 3 years, then right before Dell was born you left and changed. I don't know why you stopped spending time with Morris and never gave Dell your time. I'm not giving you no money nor taking you off child support," Wanda says. "Screw you then," Edward yells before hanging up. Wanda tells the kids to come into the kitchen, dinner is done. Dell doesn't like when his father calls and gets his mom upset. "Why does he always do that? I hate that," Dell said to Morris. "Stay out of it, Dell," Morris tells him. When they go into the kitchen, Dell sees Wanda upset and sad and asks her if she's alright. "Are you alright, Mommy?" "Yes, my love, don't you guys worry about it, I'm fine," Wanda says. "Let's just eat and get ready for bed. I have work in the morning and you two have to go to school." The next morning, they are all up. Morris and Dell already ate and are dressed for school. Wanda is just finishing up. She has been having this pain in her chest for a couple months now, but she never went to the hospital because the pain wasn't happening regularly. The pain is feeling a lot worse today though, so she decides to call out of work and drops the kids off at school. After dropping the kids off at school, she heads to the hospital hoping to get an x-ray done. The doctors found something inside her chest and let Wanda know. "I'm sorry, Ms. Parks. But we found something in your chest and I'm sorry to tell you, but you have been diagnosed with fibrosarcoma." "Fibrosarcoma? What's that?" Wanda wondered. "It's a rare type of cancer in the chest. You're not going to be able to leave the hospital. If you would have come earlier when you first started feeling the pain in your chest, we probably could have treated it sooner and cured it. But it's very chronic right now. I'm sorry, you probably only have 3 months to live." Wanda started crying and asked, "How is this possible? I don't even smoke cigarettes or anything." The doctor asked her if cancer was common in her family. "Yes, I lost both my uncles and grandmother to cancer. Both my uncles passed from leukemia and my grandmother passed from lung cancer, but none of them died of fibrosarcoma," Wanda tells the doctor. "Oh my God," she cries. "What about my kids? How am I supposed to tell them? What are they going to do? What's going to happen to them?" Wanda is scared and nervous. The doctor felt terrible. I'm sorry, I don't know what to say. I never do whenever I break bad news to patients. We're going to start you with chemotherapy right away. Is there anything I can do for you in the meantime? Can you please just call my oldest son up here, please? I want to be the one to tell him what's going on. Okay, I understand. Is there a number that we can reach him at? The doctor asked. Yes, you can reach him on his cell phone. 401-555-1234. Okay, we're going to call now. Okay, thank you. You're welcome. They give Morris a call. He is still in school at lunch when he picks up the phone. Hello, who's this? Hi, this is Dr. Pike from the Juanita Lassiter Medical Center. Your mother, Wanda, is here and would like to see you. Morris immediately knew something was wrong. He asks no questions. He just tells Dr. Pike he will be there shortly. Morris goes talk to the guidance counselor, who is his best friend's Pete's mother, and tells her what's going on. He was worried and scared, and she noticed this, so she didn't mind giving him a ride. They go get Dell from his class before they head out. They show up to the hospital and Dell doesn't know what they're doing there, but he doesn't ask any questions. Instead, he just follows Morris inside. They go up to the receptionist desk. Hi, I'm Morris Parks. Can you tell me what room my mother, Wanda Parks, is in, please? Dell looks at Morris when he hears his mother's name. Yes, just a second, hun. She's in room 453, the receptionist told him. Okay, thank you. What's Mommy doing here? Is she okay? Dell asked. I'm not sure, Dell. We're here now to find that out. When we go up there, just go play in the play area or use one of those tablets they have here. I'm going to see what's going on with Ma. When Morris goes into the room, Wanda is happy to see him, but Morris isn't too happy. His heart dropped immediately when he saw his mother in the hospital bed, hooked on a machine. Wanda lets Morris know about her having fibrosarcoma and tells him how bad her condition is. He begins to cry instantly. Can you beat this, Ma? He asked with concern. It's very severe, the doctors told me, son. I'm hoping I can. They're saying I have only 3 months left to live. Morris and Wanda break down in tears. They hug and kiss each other. I love you, baby. Unfortunately, I'm not going to be able to make it to your graduation. I'm so very sorry. It's okay, Mommy, please just get better. I love you too. Morris leaves the room. What's wrong with Mommy? Dell asked. She doesn't feel too good, Dell, but she's going to be okay. Morris tells him, trying to not to have him more worried. Can I go see her? She's going to sleep now. We can come up here tomorrow when we get out of school, I promise. Okay. Sadly, 2.5 months later, Wanda passes away in the hospital. The boys have been placed in their father's custody since Edward has been going to all the AA meetings and been sober for 3 months now. So, they put their faith in Edward and hope he will continue to do the right thing. 3 years later, Morris is now 16 and Dell is 13. Edward had relapsed a year ago, and this is hurting Dell because Edward made a promise to never pick up the bottle again. One night, Edward and Morris got into this big argument about Dell eating the last few slices of bread. Dell tries to calm the situation down because he felt bad that their whole argument was over him. Dell doesn't realize Morris had been fed up with Edward for a while, but this was the last straw. He couldn't bite his tongue much longer. They continue to argue face to face. Suddenly, Edward yells, I wish I never had you damn kids. Your mother was a mistake just like you too. That damn trick really trapped me. What the hell? That was the last straw. Morris was fed up. He balled up his fist, then punched Edward in the face. Edward falls to the floor. Screw you, drunk-ass deadbeat. Don't you ever disrespect my mother again. You didn't even raise us, she did, we're leaving. We don't even need your punk ass. Dell is scared because he never saw his brother this angry before, so he gets in front of Morris. Come on, we're getting out of here, Dell. Where are we going? Dell wondered. We're going to Pete's. Morris and Dell walk up the street to Pete's house. Pete is Morris's best friend, the guidance counselor's son. They have known each other since sandbox days. Morris told Pete everything that happened. Can me and Dell stay for like a month? Till I get on my feet, he asked. Yeah, no problem, man, I got you. You know my moms wouldn't mind neither. Just a week later, Pete's mom's boyfriend Lance started complaining about too many people being in the house. Morris didn't like the fact that him and his brother were the reason the two were beefing, so he decided to leave before they got kicked out. Dell is confused, but he trusts his brother and knows his brother will always make sure they'll be okay. They are now completely homeless, so they go to the local homeless shelter. Morris is going through it. The shelter scared his little brother, his job isn't paying him enough, plus they only give him part-time hours because he's still in high school. He doesn't want to drop out because he wants to go to college to become an engineer. Feeling stuck, Morris decides to talk to Pete for some drugs to sell to get on his feet. Pete didn't hesitate and gave it to him. He started making plays here and there, and now Morris is doing good. Money is in his pockets and in his brother's pockets. Food is in their stomach. Morris has a car now and an apartment that's under the name of some older chick he's been dealing with for a while now. Pete gets locked up eventually while all this is going on. 3 years later, Morris is still doing good, but really even better now. He learned the game and learned it well. A few cars, a couple stash houses, even Dell's driving now and got himself a car. While Pete is locked up, he hears about Morris getting money and how he's running the block. He doesn't like that. He doesn't like the fact that Morris took over his spot. So, when Pete gets out of jail, he sees Morris, he goes up to him and says, "What's up? I see you doing good now, bro. That's really good to see. I need you to put me back on my feet," Pete told him. Morris chuckles. I got you, man. You took care of me, so I'm gonna take care of you. Call me later. 555-1234. Morris and Dell are driving around now. I'm going to get up with Pete in a few. What are you about to get into? Not much. Can you drop me off at the mall? I want to go buy some clothes for the week. Got you, baby bro. Morris drops Dell off, then heads to meet up with Pete. When Dell gets to the mall, he goes inside Jamont Richardson's World, which is a sneaker and clothing store, and he sees Aaron there with Carrie and Kiara. Hi Dell, Kiara is excited to see him. Hey Kiara, what's up Carrie, what's up Aaron? Kiara and Carrie give Dell a hug and Aaron daps him up. What are you guys doing? Dell asked. Nothing, we just got done watching a movie. We're just chilling out right now. Aaron said. You should chill with us, Kiara suggested. I'm just going to buy a couple outfits. Just take the walk with me. Morris and Pete meet up in the cut in the hood. What's up, Pete? What up? Not much, just dropped Dell off at the mall. You said you wanted to get back on your feet. What were you trying to start off with? Morris asked. I don't know, let me get at least an ounce, 28 grams to start. Pete said. I'm gonna go get it from one of the stashes out here, hold up. Minutes later, Morris shows back up with the ounce and more. He brought more because he really wanted to make sure Pete got back on his feet. So, he tosses him 4 ounces instead of 1. Pete appreciates it, but he has this envy in his heart that ain't leaving. After Morris hands it to him, Pete pulls out an all-black pistol. What the hell, Pete? Morris said in shock. I'm sorry, bro, I'm sorry, but I can't see you like this. You're trying to take over my spot, fool. Pete says while he's aiming the pistol at Morris. I can't let you do this, man, this ain't you, Pete. Morris said. Then Morris goes for the pistol and they start wrestling for it. Pete gets the upper hand, pushes Morris off and shoots him twice. Bow. Bow, Morris falls, then Pete walks up to him, stands over him and shoots Morris in the head 1 time. Bow, killing him. Punk ass. Pete takes off with the money and the drugs. He was really just jealous of Morris. Envy and greed has really gotten the best of Pete. Dell is done shopping. Him, Aaron, Kiara and Carrie are getting ready to leave the mall. They are at Aaron's car when Dell calls Morris to let him know he's with Aaron, Kiara and Carrie. Morris ain't picking up the phone though. He tried to call back. There was still no answer. So, he tries calling Pete's phone because he remembered Morris saying he was getting up with him, but when he called it went straight to voicemail. Now something ain't sitting right with Dell, what the hell is going on? He wondered. You okay? Kiara asked him. Yeah, I'm trying to get in touch with my brother, but he ain't picking up. I'm gonna hit up this girl he been dealing with. See if she heard from him. So, he decided to hit up Sasha on social media. Sasha is some girl Morris talks to, he wanted to see if she heard from him. She's coincidentally from the same hood Morris just got killed in. When he gets on social media he sees a post from Sasha that read, OMG, this ain't happening right now. Why Lord why? The post had Morris tagged in it, so Dell messages Sasha right away. Yo, what's going on? What happened to my brother? He writes her. She messages Dell back and breaks the bad news to him and tells him to rush to the scene. Dell drops the bags of clothes. Yo, I gotta go. He tells them before running. Aaron, worried, picks up the bags and puts them in the car. The car is already running because of the automatic starter. Aaron, Kiara and Carrie all hop in the car following Del as he's running. They're trying to get him in the car so they can get to the scene sooner. He does. Del is in the passenger seat, nervous and scared. When they get close to the scene, Aaron can see the police sirens and ambulance there and knows right away what was going on. Damn man, this is messed up, Aaron said to himself. Before coming to a complete stop at the scene, Del hops out the car when he sees his brother still laid out on the floor. He rushes to his brother and the police tries to stop him from getting close to the body, but he breaks free. He's now staring at his brother laying there on the floor dead. He starts crying and bugging out. Del is sitting on the curb crying heavily when Sasha walks up to him to consult him. What the hell happened? Del asked Sasha. She hesitated to tell him what she saw, but she felt horrible and felt he deserved to know. I'm in my living room folding clothes when your brother called me and told me he's in the cut by my house talking to Pete. He'll be up soon. I look out the window and see him talking to Pete, not paying it that much mind. So, I went back to folding my clothes and about 2 minutes later I heard gunshots. I ducked, then looked out the window and saw your brother on the floor. She starts to cry again. But Pete was gone. I didn't see Pete after that. This doesn't sit right with me, she told him. Me neither, Del said. The police learned from Aaron that Morris is Del's brother, so they go up to him asking if they can ask him a few questions. Del doesn't mind. The police took him off the scene and put him inside the police car. They asked if Morris had problems with anyone. No, everybody loved him. He wasn't like everyone else out here. Morris showed love to everybody, Del said in a broken voice. Del already knew Pete had something to do with it, but he kept that to himself. The cops got some information from Sasha about Del and found out Del was actually going to be by himself and will have no place to live now after his brother just got killed. So, they bring him to the police station, not to lock him up, but hoping to find him some help. Del is too lost and emotional right now to understand what's going on. Tears just won't stop falling down his face. The police go online and start searching for local group homes. They found one named the Nancy McWilliams Lassiter Group Home and found out they're taking openings. I think this one will be perfect for him right here. Every kid that went to this group home ended up going down good paths and made something for themselves, Officer Palumbo said to his partner, Officer Howell. Their plan was to go to the group home in the morning, and that's what they did. They let Del spend the night at a retired officer's house with his family the night before. Del can't get no sleep. He's up thinking about his brother and mother, scared that he's going to be alone. Officer Palumbo, Officer Howell and Del show up to the group home in the morning and introduce themselves and Del when they meet the instructor Ron Brown. They told Ron everything that has been going on with Del in his life and how they just want to help him and not hurt him. Ron understood and allowed Del inside the group home with no problem. You're going to be okay here, little man, Ron tells Del. Del doesn't want to be there, but he knows he has no choice. He was alone. Now it's been a week since Del has been in the group home and he still seems lost, hurt and full of hatred. He's not being active and not interacting with any of the fellow kids. The instructor Ron realizes this and tries to play his part to help Del out with whatever he got going on. They talked for a bit and then Del let him know everything and how he'd been feeling. Ron understands and starts talking to him about God and forgiveness. Del isn't trying to hear that, so he just ignored it. I'm not trying to hear that right now, Ron, he said. One day he found out he now has privileges to leave the group home on the weekends. He was happy about this and besides, he had been dealing with Kiara since before he went in the group home so he knew where he would be during the weekends. That Monday, Del shows up to the group home and Ron hands him something. What's this? Del looked down and it was a Bible. I know you said you don't want to hear about God and forgiveness, but I'm hoping you will want to read about him and forgiveness one day. Ron tells him about everything he'd been through. From getting into shootouts, getting stabbed, and seeing loved ones getting killed. Del is listening. The Bible and learning about God really changed my life. Following Jesus led me to God and forgiveness, Ron told Del. You really think he can do that for me? I don't even know who I am anymore, Ron. And forgive who? My brother's killer? My deadbeat father? I don't think I'll ever forgive them. I know you can, you're God's child, Del. Here's what I will love for you to do for me, but most importantly, for yourself. You were just saying you didn't know who you were. Before you read the Bible, I'm going to give you this list of scriptures that reminded me of who I am and what I'm capable of doing whenever I feel how you're feeling. I made 2 lists. The first list is to remind you who you are and the second list is to remind you what you're capable of. I'm going to give you the first list and you can come back to me anytime if you want the other list. I'm not trying to force religion on you, so don't think that. Just take a look at it when you get a chance. God bless you, Del. Ron hands him the list. Thanks, Ron. You're welcome. Later on, that night Del takes a look at the list. I am faithful, Ephesians 1 verse 1. I am God's child, John 1 verse 12. I am Christ's friend, John 15 verse 15. I am a member of Christ's body, 1 Corinthians 12 verse 27. I am assured all things work together for good, Romans 8 verse 28. I am confident that God will perfect the work He has begun in me, Philippians 1 verse 6. I am a citizen of heaven, Philippians 3 verse 20. I am hidden with Christ in God, Colossians 3 verse 3. I am born of God and the evil one cannot touch me, 1 John 5 verse 18. I am blessed in the heavenly realms with every spiritual blessing, Ephesians 1 verse 3. I am chosen before the creation of the world, Ephesians 1 verses 4 to 11. I am holy and blameless, Ephesians 1 verse 4. I am adopted as His child, Ephesians 1 verse 5. I am given God's glorious grace lavishly and without restriction, Ephesians 1 verses 5 to 8. I am forgiven, Ephesians 1 verse 8, Colossians 1 verse 14. I am included, Ephesians 1 verse 13. I am sealed with the promised Holy Spirit, Ephesians 1 verse 13. I am a saint, Ephesians 1 verse 18. I am salt and light of the earth, Matthew 5 verses 13 to 14. I am a personal witness of Jesus Christ, Acts 1 verse 8. I am God's co-worker, 2 Corinthians 6 verse 1. I am a minister of reconciliation, 2 Corinthians 5 verses 17 to 20. I am His, I am saved. This ain't a bad list, he said to himself. A month later on a Sunday he goes to church for the first time after so long with Kiara. The sermon in church was about forgiveness and moving on. The pastor said, someone that hurt you in the past is going to come back in your life, but you're going to have to forgive them to move on and to receive what God has in store for you. That hit different for Del. As they're leaving the church, Kiara asked him if he needed a ride, but he said no. Nah, I'm going to walk. I need to get my thoughts together. Kiara understood. As he was walking, he saw some guy at the bus stop drunk, half asleep by Jeanette Lassiter's convenience store. He walks by him, looks at him and realizes it's Edward, his dad. Oh snap, Del says, shocked because he hasn't seen Edward in over 3 years. Edward could have been dead as far as he knows. He still doesn't forgive his father, so this is a bittersweet moment for Del. What's up? Who's that? Edward asked while squinting. It's me, Del, your son. Del? Hey son. Oh my god, hey Del, how are you son? How you doing? You don't look too good man. Del said. Don't worry about me son. I'm okay. How's your brother doing? Edward asked while trying to sit up. Morris died man, he got killed over a month ago. Del said as he was about to break down. Edward started to cry. Don't tell me that. Please don't tell me that. I haven't seen him in so long. I didn't know. Oh my God Lord, please forgive me. I'm sorry. Edward is breaking down. They started talking for a few hours. Del ends up buying him some new clothes and some food. I know it's probably going to be hard right now, Del, but one day I pray you find it in your heart to forgive me son. Forgive me for everything I ever done to you and your brother. Including your mom. I'm sorry. I know your mother hasn't forgiven me before she passed. Did your brother ever forgive me? Edward asked with concern. Del just looked at him. Del tells him about the group home that he's in and that he's allowed to be out on the weekends. He made a promise that he's going to come see him every weekend. Edward loved that. When he gets to the group home the next day, he asks Ron if he knows any shelters that will take adults and explains his dad's situation. Ron agrees to help. Del made a promise he'll come back to see his dad every weekend, and that's exactly what he did. While hanging out, Edward starts bringing up memories of Wanda that Del never even knew. Bringing up memories of when him and his brother were babies. This made Del Real happy that he remembers all the memories and kept them in his heart. Del realized then that his dad was really in love with his mother and deeply loved him and Morris, but Edward's demons have got the best of him that made him show something different. One weekend, Edward starts talking to Del about God and all he can do and how great he is. Del's listening. Edward admits that he messed up his life. He begged God for forgiveness and God forgave him. Now Edward is trying to get his only child that he has left to forgive him and understand the importance of forgiveness. 2 weeks later, Ron calls Dell while Dell is with Edward and tells him he found a place that will accept Edward. Dell tells his dad the news and Edward is more than excited. "Well, I'm happy for you too. I love you, Dad." That's the first time in a while Dell ever called him Dad, and this made Edward smile hard. "I love you too." Edward immediately hugged Dell. Dell put his arms around him as well, smiled, and started tearing up. He finally forgives his father. Edward moves into the shelter that Monday, but unfortunately, he dies in his sleep that night. Tuesday morning, Dell asks for a ride from Ron to the shelter to check on him. Ron doesn't mind. They show up to the shelter, and the manager tells Dell that Edward had passed away last night, and they were trying to call his nearest kin but were unable to find anyone. Dell's heart dropped. He couldn't believe it. He finally just got reunited with his dad 2 months ago and just started becoming closer to him 3 weeks ago. He starts to cry, and Ron grabs him and brings him to the car. In the car, Dell says to Ron, "I believe that was God's plan for me to see him that day, and I believe God kept him down here until he got my forgiveness, until I forgave him so he can rest peacefully." Going through it again, a month after his dad died, Dell goes into Ron's office and asks him for the second part of the list. Ron doesn't mind giving it to him and hands him over the list. Dell ends up running away from the group home and decides to do things his way. Weeks later, as he's in the streets now, he sees Pete walking out of David Lassiter's corner store right next to James Pug Lassiter's auto shop. Pete is looking at his phone, texting with a Lucy in his mouth, so Pete doesn't realize Dell looking at him. Pete's slippin'. Dell has learned that Pete killed his brother when he noticed Pete wasn't at the funeral. Morris and Pete been best friends since they were 5 years old, so Dell put 2 and 2 together. Not only that, Sasha told him she saw Pete do it from her living room window. Dell had a chrome pistol on him that day. He stole the pistol from a car that was parked outside of a nightclub one night. He had a decision to make: kill Pete, or let God do his work. He keeps having these flashbacks and hearing the speeches from his dad, Ron, and the pastor about God and forgiveness. So, he chose forgiveness and let God do his will. The following week, Dell is in a hotel room just waking up. He goes through his stuff to find some clothes for the day and sees the list Ron gave him and decides to read it. I can approach God with freedom and confidence, Ephesians 3 verse 12. I can grasp how wide, long, high and deep Christ's love is, Ephesians 3 verse 18. I can bring glory to God, Ephesians 3 verse 21. I can be humble, gentle, patient and lovingly tolerant of others, Ephesians 4 verse 2. I can mature spiritually, Ephesians 4 verse 15. I can be certain of God's truths and the lifestyle which He has called me to, Ephesians 4 verse 17. I can have a new attitude and a new lifestyle, Ephesians 4 verses 21 to 32. I can be kind and compassionate to others, Ephesians 4 verse 32. I can forgive others, Ephesians 4 verse 32. I can understand what God's will is, Ephesians 5 verse 17. I can give thanks for everything, Ephesians 5 verse 20. I can honor God through marriage, Ephesians 5 verses 22 to 33. I can parent my children with composure, Ephesians 6 verse 4. I can be strong, Ephesians 6 verse 10. I have God's power, Ephesians 6 verse 10. I can stand firm in the day of evil, Ephesians 6 verse 13. I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me, Philippians 4 verse 13. After reading it, he then turns on the news to check the weather. Top story. 18-year-old shot and killed before being found on the side of the highway. As Dell is watching it, the news reporter says. The victim is identified as Peter Butler, 18 years old. He's been shot multiple times in the chest and face before being dumped on the highway. Detectives are still trying to find clues and witnesses as we speak. Dell was shocked, but relieved at the same time. His belief in God has gotten stronger. He wanted to learn more about God and how He works. So, he immediately started reading the Bible daily, starting from the Luke chapter. He started praying, going to church every Sunday, and to Bible study every Wednesday. He was committed. Once he chose forgiveness and decided to chase God. He no longer felt weak or defeated. No longer depressed or stressed, no longer angry and hurt. His heart of stone has been replaced with a heart of flesh. He even got back into school, started working at Barbara Knighton's and Tracy Varella's daycare center. Blessings were starting to come to him. He couldn't be more grateful and couldn't do nothing but praise God. Amen. A few months later, he goes to the cemetery. He goes there to visit his parents and brother. They all were buried next to each other. He talks to them and lets them know everything that has been going on. How he felt scared that he was alone and going to be alone, but now realizes he's not. He has Jesus. He has God. He can now say he's a child of God, how Jesus came in and changed his life for the better, and how he has so much faith that he's going to see them again. Del starts crying because it's a sad moment, but he's so grateful and glad he chose to have God in his life. He calls Ron and asks him if he can come pick him up from the cemetery. When Del gets done praying, Ron walks up to him and puts his hand on his shoulder. Del turned around and realized it's Ron. He hugged him and thanked him for helping him find God. "You're welcome, Del." Then they walked away, out of the cemetery together.